advancement to future generations, as well as because of my relationships in Norristown. It was something that I just felt a burden for. I said, Lord, everybody needs to participate. Everybody has to experience this. And so out of that, I started coaching. And then from there, you begin to start understanding about all the ecosystem of USAT. And I'm part of also an ambassador for the USAT. And this is where I saw this Black History Month in February. And all of a sudden, the Lord moved on my heart, and I was just like, gosh, I can see the possibilities of this. And so I just, by faith, in my mind, just thinking the Carver Center, because of its history, rewriting that narrative, everything about that, and just in my mind's eye about the community. And so I just said, Lord, if this is you, I'm going to apply for this. Press send. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Then I forgot about it. Later on, a couple months later, I get the announcement. I'm the recipient of this nationwide. And I was like, oh gosh, it's like I gotta wrap my head around that. And all right, let's see, okay, I'm gonna trust you. So this literally is a voluntary effort. And I just trust in the Lord. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. And so I feel honored for that. And as a result, I'll just give you a little background on that. This basically today is gonna be about what is triathlon, and who is USAT, who are the coaches, what is the process of this program, and what does the first session look like, and then any Q&A. So the USAT Foundation, basically the foundation is its nonprofit about transforming lives through swim, bike, and run by opening pathways for all. Bottom line, you empower the future of our sport, you provide access and opportunities, and you help the U.S. stand on the podium. This is the national governing body to the Olympics. And so whether we find an Olympian that comes through here, 2028, returning to LA, let's pray that something can come from Norristown. Even if it's not Olympics, collegiate, college, the aspiration of a lifestyle, you're going to hear some of the testimonies of the transformative effect of what triathlon is. So let me give you an idea of what the governing body of triathlon is. Have a better understanding of the USAT.
and we are focused on building brighter futures for youth, high school, and college athletes, as well as rewards for those at every age, by creating innovative programs and investing in growing sport at the grassroots level. It's why we unify our close-knit community and help thousands of first-time participants experience the sport, letting them know triathlon is accessible, inclusive, and attainable through the Time to Try initiative. And we are truly an American sport. Born on the shores of Southern California, triathlon is rooted in the qualities that make this country special: opportunity, competition, equality, diversity. It's why we give local amateur athletes, from teenagers to 85 years and older, from every background and corner of the country, the opportunity to represent the United States globally, and wear the red, white, and blue while competing for national and world titles. And as the national governing body for the sport, USA Triathlon supports our elite athletes at the highest level, helping them win medals for the Stars and Stripes on the world stage, including the Olympic and Paralympic Games. We are redefining the modern-day national governing body, innovative approaches to the challenges we face, adaptable with a mindset to embrace change rather than fear it, and a source of pride in triumphant moments and comfort during tough times. Through every stroke, every pedal, and every stride, USA Triathlon is here to help you enjoy your path to your own personal finish line.
All right, so that gives you an idea of what USA Triathlon is all about. And I'm going to be just very frank and candid. I'm sure that those of you, how many black folk, how many people of color did you see here, right? And as a minority myself, I've been in the sport, and it's really about diversity. That's what this whole grant is about. This initiative of, because this tends to be you have means and it's become an expensive sport, right? It's like, man, I remember back in the day when it was just had a bike, shoes, it's all you need, right? Let's keep it simple. And so this is part of that initiative, is just to really bring about inclusion. So also I want to acknowledge Dr. Williams, assistant superintendent of the schools, Norristown School District. And so I just wanted to, I'm hoping that this will also inform you more so about this initiative. This is for the kids, there's all aspects of this. This is really short. Give you an idea of all age groups.
What's a splash and dash?
A splash and dash is a fun and fast-growing sport that combines swimming and running.
Okay. Vision, North Penn School District, 12 years, have done in fact, this last couple months ago, over 2,000 kids and families, North Penn School District, doing these triathlons. I have a vision that this would happen in the Norristown School District. We have perfect grounds for that. The Norristown Farm Park, the high school, the grounds there. So it kind of gives you some vision as well. And then this for the other age group. Remember, this for ages 8 to 18, so everybody needs to see their peers at this level. This is from high school to collegiate, going into NCAA. I'm also a high school talent scout, volunteer as a high school talent scout for the state of Pennsylvania, along with a few of us others. It's all about furthering the talent, identifying single sport athletes, usually come from a swimming or a soccer or a track and field background, it's introducing the sport of triathlon, but there's other pathways that's competitive. You can be at a high competitive level in NCAA for the women's. In men's, there's still a club form, varsity club in the collegiate route. But again, that's another pathway to see the bigger picture. This is going to be coming up September 15th here in our backyard in Atlantic City. The USA Nationals, the entire country is going to be here. So as I mentioned, this is the day, a couple of days where the entire nation becomes the best of those that have qualified for this event here in Atlantic City. And so this, I'm seeing this also as an opportunity with the kids that begin to get involved, take them on a field trip, experience the entire ecosystem of USLT. Okay, this next section, this is the very first black professional triathlete, Max Fennell. We have a couple coaches in here that you're going to meet that were instrumental of that supportive environment that have helped Max Fennell. He's going to be sharing just real briefly in this video.
I reflect on and think about is I remember when I used to get a triathlon, or I remember when I first got into triathlon, I tell people like I'm a triathlete or pro triathlete. And then be like, oh, how'd you do the swim? Or like, how does the swim go, right? And so it used to be like people would ask me those questions, and now the conversation has morphed into like, they don't even bring that up, right? So back when I got started, people used to say this racist term or whatever that like, oh, black people don't swim, right? So along with like Colin Jones and the Simone Manuals and myself, I think people can't say black people don't swim anymore, especially if I'm a pro and I'm swimming better than that, right? So, at the tip of it, it's like I've seen the growth in the sense of like, people thinking bad about black folks not swimming to now being like, oh no, like, they've got, some athletes out there that are really representing, and it was rough getting there, but I also appreciate how all the negative comments, all the racist experiences made me so resilient that I was able to prove all my hate is wrong, prove all this is wrong to the point where like nobody dares to say to me like, oh, how's the swim go? It's like, whoa, I'm gonna beat you. It's the real truth where everything started was I was working at a coffee shop in Ardmore, and I was recently trying out for the Philadelphia Union. Like it was right before the Philadelphia Union was like officially created, so they were having all of these pickup soccer games and stuff like that. So I was playing a pickup soccer game, and I ended up spraining my MCL during the game. A goalkeeper came out, slide tackled me, and I hurt my knee doing that. And it was pretty much a career-ending injury because I was able to try out for the union and everything like that. But while I was working at this coffee shop in Ardmore, I had this gentleman come in and say, he was like, oh, I see your clip. I was like, yeah, I hurt myself. He's like, I was trying to play. He's like, oh, what are you going to do now? I was like, well, I heard about the Philadelphia Triathlon, so maybe I'll go jump into that and see how that goes. And he was like, well, you're going to want to like train for it and get yourself ready. So he ended up lending me a bike and giving me some gear. And my first ever triathlon was the Philadelphia Tri, and I was instantly hooked because I think I placed like 7th or 9th in my age group. It was a great time. You swam in the Schuylkill River, and you ride all throughout. Martin Luther King Drive, and Kelly Drive, and you go past the and everything. That's almost 4 inch course, and I was hooked. And I ended up trying more, the rest of that year, and I ended up winning my age group. And so when I won my age group, I was like, oh, maybe I should stick with this and see where it goes. And then a few years later, I qualified for my program. And early on in my career, the owner of the bike company where I work, it's called the Bicycles, was a Philadelphia brand. This guy, David, the owner, David Greenfield, introduced me to John Kenny. And David Greenfield, the owner of the Bicycles, goes to John and says, hey, man, he's up and coming. Maybe take him under your wing and, show him the ropes. So John, through the introduction, I met John, and then I started, training, learning everything I could underneath John, and that's when I started, swimming, there's a pool right by me that, we would train at, and I remember that was the first time when someone told me that you have to be waking up at like 5 a.m. to get to swim at like 6 a.m. I was, being mentored with John. He also suggested, and I think it was through John I had the introduction to Shannon Grady, and then Shannon Grady essentially became kind of like the head coach that really kind of took, the overall approach of like how are we going to really take me as just a general athlete, or at that time as a soccer player, and then really just, molded me and turned me into an athlete. So, John was kind of like my mentor, and Shannon Grady was kind of like the head coach that was kind of like overseeing the entire picture. If you really wanted to see significant gains, you had to have a coach that understands heart rate testing and lactate testing to have things more of a scientific based program. Whereas now, you got a smartwatch, you got computers, you got power, all that. Where back then it's like everybody's just shooting in the dark. And when you work with somebody that's as professional and high caliber of a coach and exercise physiologist like Shannon Grady, since it's so scientific based, you see so much growth in your potential. So it's like for me, it's like I didn't know what to do, but when somebody's having all the data behind it, and then you're going through this growth period, then you become a much stronger athlete. Whereas if you're just shooting the dark, what I would say is the thing about triathlon, it's like the folks that are going to the Olympics and winning triathlons, they didn't start off as a triathlete, right? They oftentimes were like specialized in an individual sport. If it's track and field, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, or swimming, whatever it is. And really, it's going to come down to that athlete that, it's really kind of like a certain level of grit and a certain level of just like, all right, let me see how this is going to unfold, right? It's very rarely the athlete that's like, really kind of forcing it. It's more so the athlete that's like, all right, I'm open to seeing what happens, but I'm going to give it 110% of my effort, right? I tell people this all the time. Like when I show up on the starting line, I'm not like, all right, I got to do it in this certain time. I got to do it. No, I'm there to have a good time and push my body and my mind as hard as humanly possible because I want to find out what I'm really made of. That's the mindset that endurance and triathletes have, right? We find ourselves in high pressure situations, and instead of crumbling and even as a kid, right, you're able to now kind of process and be like, all right, I can work myself through this, because what happens is when you're in an endurance race, everyone will tell you you're going to hit this point where you're going to face self-doubt. You're going to hit this point where your mind's going to tell you to quit. And what happens is the practice of you telling yourself, no, don't quit, right? The practice of telling yourself, no, I want to become an Olympian, and you stay on that road for the next 4 years, right? All of that is what builds you into this ultra, very, very resilient human being, right? So, pro card aside, what's more beneficial is if you're this human being, if you're this person, it's like, look, I can rely on myself. Like, no, like I'm in a tough situation, I can get through this. Oh, money's tight, I can figure out how to get through this. Oh, I'm struggling to figure out how to pay for my bills. Well, I'm gonna keep working hard, I'm gonna look for a solution, right? Because that's what happens in a triathlon. You might drop your water bottle, or you might get a flat tire, or you might be swimming and water gets in your goggles. And instead of freaking out, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna stop for a second to fix my goggles. all right, get on a flat tire, I'm gonna get on one bike and fix the tire, right? Instead of going, oh my gosh, you're like, all right, you breathe through it, you process through it, so that when you add something in your regular life, instead of it completely knocking you off or messing you up, you're able to actually work through it and get through it, right? And I think that goes down to with what you're trying to build, that a lot of these athletes have to realize that they are surrounded by the best coaches and some of the best people in the industry that can really help them get there. And that's really the hardest hurdle is somebody can mentor you, can guide you, and help you understand the thing that you're going to foresee. So for me, right, not growing up as a swimmer, right, if I'm learning from John Penny, like one of the best swimmers in the world, right, that also gives you a level of confidence on race day, right, because you've been coached by the best, right, you've been coached by somebody that's, lived it, they've competed themselves and now they're a coach. So that gives you a certain level of confidence that you're like, all right, I know that I can achieve this as long as I listen to these individuals with how they're coaching. So with that question you just asked, the first thing that came to mind is I've had conversations with a few, outside of Shannon and John. There were times when I moved out here, I was introduced to Michael Johnson, introduced to Barry Bonds, and then I had certain kind of conversations with certain former Olympian triathletes, and they all said the same thing to me, which was, give it a go, guys. Give it a go, right? And I would say the same thing to these athletes, that if you trust in your coaches, you're going to get to where I'm at, right? Shannon and John have the formula to take whatever type of athlete it is and help them reach to that next potential. But the best advice I can give them is the same advice that was given to me. It's just give it a go, right? Just give it all you got, show up to practice, listen to the coaches, and see what happens when the doors open. And when these doors open, walk through, turn around, ask your coaches for some guidance, say, hey, this is the right door, and I'm supposed to be walking through, trusting your coaches, and just give it a go.
There's a lot that I said in a nutshell. It's so hard to edit that because there's just so many topic points. And so I would like to just introduce the very two coaches, John Kenny and Shannon Grady. If I just have you come up and just kind of briefly introduce yourself, and I have a couple slides accommodated. So we have the best of the best, along with a volunteer set of coaches, and just to give you an opportunity to meet them personally.
First of all, thank you, Brian. You've put together a really immense amount of information here, and presentation just has a lot of great info. So I met Max, I guess it was over 10 years ago now, he grew up in King of Prussia, and basically came to me looking for help in swimming. Pretty raw talent when he came in. He was a great athlete, but he just wasn't great in the water, and we worked together and built up, and he really accomplished great things in the sport, and it was great to be a part of that. My background is all swimming, so I grew up as a distance swimmer, got into long distance swimming. My longest swims were 22 miles, and I competed on the national team for about 10 years. Took me all over the world. It's a great sport. The sport's given me a lot. Both swimming and triathlon have given me a lot. And I think it says a lot to be involved in the sport. When I kind of had to transfer from a professional triathlete into okay, I can't do this forever, I'm getting injured, I'm not making enough money, and yada yada. And that's when we started French Street Racing. And we've always had coach growing up, he had all the flags of all the nations that all of his athletes competed. There were probably about 50 or 60 different nations' flags, and I was proud enough to give them 2 new flags they didn't have before. But you know, all about just diversity and inclusivity, and that's kind of the way I was raised, and the way that just the values that we reflect. So, you know, when Brian asked me to come here and be a part of this, it really aligns with what we're all about perfectly. So, I think, you know, one of our main goals is just to get the word out and to get more people involved here. We can do a lot in the community.
Shannon, you can share a couple words.
Hi, I'm Shannon Grady, and it's great to be here today. I'm really thankful for Brian for applying for this grant, especially for the community. Just a little bit of my background. I grew up in Delaware County. I was a 6-time Pennsylvania state champion in track and field. So my background is track and field, and a little bit about mine and my relationship with Max. Now, as Brian had mentioned in the interview, John and I guess we just met each other through the sport. We're both competing in the same local world of triathlon, and we've collaborated quite a bit. But as Max had mentioned, John working with Max in swimming, he's pretty much no experience in swimming, I would say. And my background, again, I was a track athlete. I ran at the University of Florida, was an All-American there. I went on to the Olympic Training Center, but I happened to also major in exercise physiology. So my first job out of college, I was at the Olympic Training Center training for the 2000 Olympic trials, but I was also an exercise physiologist for the USOC. So I had an opportunity to essentially work with all of our Olympic sport coaches and athletes in those sports. And at the time, you know, triathlon was just kind of the new sport. It actually, I was in San Diego, the Olympic Training Center, kind of originated in San Diego, so it was a little bit big in the community there. My first actual experience with triathlon was the year prior. I'd just finished my collegiate track eligibility, and full disclosure, I didn't know how to swim until college. I tried swimming and I could not swim. But it was when I got injured in college, I would swim with our triathlon club. So I met a lot of the people in the triathlon club team at University of Florida. So I met the triathletes in the club, and they were really fun group of people. But anyway, my eligibility was up, and they said, "Hey, you're going to collegiate nationals in California. You want to go?" I was like, "Well, I don't have a bike, and I don't have a wetsuit." It was in some cold lake. I don't have a wetsuit. I borrowed a bike with a guy who's 6 foot, so you know how that goes. I didn't have bike shoes. I borrowed a wetsuit that was way too big. So I guess it was Olympic distance. I was like, sure, I can do that. I'm literally like, I get in the water, my wetsuit fills up, it's way too big. I'm backstroking, hanging off the canoe. I'm pretty sure I was dead last coming out of the water. But somehow I ran my way up to top 10. So just a testament to like, oh, this is kind of fun. But anyway, that's my memory of the first foray with triathlon. But years later, I actually did, start competing in triathlon. Had a pretty successful stint in triathlon. But in terms of my passion, even though I was an athlete, I've always been involved in coaching, involved in athletics. Track and field is my first love. Triathlon, I would say, is my second love. But I have coached and consulted 25 Olympic and world champions in 25 different sports. And right now I have 6 athletes on the U.S. track and field Olympic team that just qualified. So I've still been involved in most of the U.S. national team as a physiologist and consultant. But locally, I actually just joined Mid-Atlantic, certified safe place for kids to learn open water swimming. So I host practices several times a week. So if you're interested for the youth kids to join our practices, you can just go onto our website, check the calendar, and then you can reach out to us through that way. But coaching the youth has been really a great experience because even on our team, we have non-swimmers. You know, we have kids who are doing duathlons, but our goal is to, get these kids swimming, grow the program. So it's just great that this program is, we're about 30 minutes based out of my practices are right outside of Phoenixville. So it's about 30 minutes, but for a program like this, it's I would say, and John might agree, that one of the biggest fears in the sport, even for seasoned swimmers, is going into the open water. So I think, and John can attest to this, Brian can attest to this, that the swim portion, a lot of people do not have access to water. A lot of people, even really good swimmers, have trouble in the open water. I've personally saved, just running down the beach, saved a number of kids in the ocean swim, ocean rescues. Over at Marsh Creek, I've saved kids from drowning. So it is, not only is participating in this sport great for, motivation, determination, discipline, it's also a great life skill. I believe that everybody should learn to swim, and learning as a youth, not only for the sport, but it's also one of those things that could potentially save your life. So I'm really excited to be part of this program in any way needed. Brian, coaches, and again offering participation in our practices if you're interested.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So for those of you that don't know, Shannon mentioned duathlon. Duathlon is bike and run only. So I think it's a good starting point. There's duathlons around too. So if you have somebody that's just not at that level to swim safely, I know in our triathlon in May, we allow people to do duathlon, do a 1 mile run instead of the first swim, bike and run with the rest of the group. And access to swimming is another big issue, and that's something that Friends Creek Racing has really pushed. We have 5 different locations locally, and we've opened up a lot of open water swimming throughout the region. So that's the primary thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sean. So as you can see, we have the resources and the connections, right? It's all about the relationships. And so there's others that could not be here that are Tony Darden, fully supportive of this, Rich Rogers, Ernie Hadrick, pillars of our community here in Morrisville. And it's about furthering this. And just all I see myself is as a steward, bringing the linkage. If Norristown wants it, here's the resource. And so let's move on and now get into, this is Jordan Hunter, kind of bring it down more to the grassroots, and then we're going to be bringing it to Reggie Walker. Intro on this.
Community has no season. It is a result of faith.
Remember the swimming company.
What is drive? Being able to see your dreams become reality. Seeing where your passion can take you. As a kid, sports were idolized. The sounds of fans cheering your name. Seeing the kid wear your jersey. The idea of wishing for billboards. World presence. Legacy. That's what we play for, right? Well, all I ever wanted was a chance to create a spotlight. To feel what victory on your opponent feels like. In my sport, jerseys feel done on them. Combines don't exist.
And I had asked Jordan if he would say a few words on this video that he sent. He lives in LA, and I met him through the Black History Month in February. I was on a panel, and then they connected me with Jordan. We became good friends as a result of that, and so he's going to say a few comments here on this video.
What's going on, future athletes, family, and friends? My name is Jordan Hunter, and I am a USA Triathlon Award coach, and also a United States Navy Search and Rescue Swimming veteran. I'm super excited to see what not only is going on in Norristown, Pennsylvania, but also the initiatives that are going on throughout the USA Triathlon Foundation. Now, as more opportunities open up at the George Washington Carver Community Center, it's our job as coaches and also advocates of the sport to make sure that we give you guys not only a safe and creative place to come be an athlete, but also learn the ins and outs of what it is to be in multi-sport. You may say, I'm a track runner, I don't really know how to swim. We got people for that. You may say, I'm a really good swimmer, but I hate cycling because I don't own a bike. We got people for that. And you might be like, I just like riding a bike and I don't want to do the other two. We got people for that. And that's the best thing about this sport is it's not only just an individual thing, but it's also a team sport. It can be anything you want, you create off of that. And that's what we want. We just need people to come in and try a triathlon. And as swimming is one of the biggest components as an African American who runs a business teaching kids and adults to swim, I understand what it is to get over that fear. And for parents out there listening right now, generational fears are a thing. And the biggest thing that we can do as adults and as parents or guardians is to continue to just try. Try and give them the resources, try and give them the experiences so that they can get into the sport and we can continue to see where that takes them, whether that be a scholarship, whether that be medals. If you're anything motivated like me, I do races for medals and t-shirts. So that's why I like showing up to these things. But it's so important and a really great opportunity to just get out there and just be physically fit and also have fun doing it.
So as you're kind of getting the picture, right? We have a swimming pool, the only swimming pool here in Norristown besides the high school. The opportunity, and Jordan would love to come out here to have a clinic, connect, and all of that. So we got some great resources here, connections. Then one last video, and then introduce our guest, is Angie Jackson. I met her at the Ironman Maryland. We were both at the finish line as volunteers, and she's a real enthusiast. She's an Ironman herself, and she's going to say a few words, kind of speaking from a parent perspective, and speaking also for children as well.
Hi everyone, hey future athletes, hello parents, families, friends, hey Brian. My name is Angie Jackson. I am a triathlete and Ironman. I call myself Iron Mimi because I have 2 grandchildren who calls me Mimi. I have been only doing triathlons for 3 years now. I just recently learned how to swim. I was one of those people who was scared to get their face wet in the shower, but here I am swimming 2.4 miles in open water. I have a grandson who is 6 that he goes to the Y with me. I learned how to swim at the Y, and we took classes there. So being at the George Washington Carver Rec Center, they will have those resources for you. Don't be scared to get your hair wet, ladies. It dries. We have conditioner. Don't be afraid to get on a bike. My first bike I borrowed, and now I actually have a gravel bike that I bought from Walmart, believe it or not. I absolutely love the sport of triathlon. It gives me a real sense of doing something. I'm a young 53-year-old, and it keeps me young. It keeps me able to be engaged with my grandchildren. It keeps me engaged with my children. There's nothing better than for my family to come to races and to cheer me on, and it is the most rewarding thing that you can do to show your children and your grandchildren a picture of health. So, swimming, cycling, running. If you don't want to swim, you can always cycle or run. Get a pair of tennis shoes. How did I start off? I started out just walking. As a matter of fact, I started out really just pushing my grandson in the jogging stroller. That's how all of this started. I pushed him in the jogging stroller, and here I am. So please, don't despair. Don't let swimming scare you. Don't let cycling scare you. We have the coaches to get you on the right track. Join me, guys. I hope to see you across a finish line. Bye, guys.
Give you the full spectrum of the perspective. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you Reggie Waller. Reggie Waller is, we had met through the context of coaching, and Reggie's going to share his journey as well as show you some of the equipment. And this is just an opportunity, once again, to really see what are all the pieces to the puzzle. So, Reggie, if you'll come on up and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Brian. And good afternoon, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Reggie Waller. As Brian mentioned, him and I met some years ago. I've been involved with triathlon since 2011. I started out in 2005 kind of doing short distance and long distance running. But when I was in high school, I'm a military brat, so my dad traveled around the world. So when I got to high school, I ran track. I was a middle distance runner. And then, 91 is when I graduated, so dating myself there. Right, I didn't do anything until about 2005 when I met my wife, and she was running along the Schuylkill River Trail, training for her first marathon. So that's when I got into running there and kind of fell in love with it, with the community. And one of my colleagues at work, he was like, "Hey, let's do this triathlon." And I always tell you, every time I do like a podcast or some kind of interview, I always share this story because my friend Tone, to this day, has not done a triathlon. I went and used my dad's old 1980 Nishiki bike, and I showed up at the pool. This was at the Upper Main Line ride in Berlin. So it was a 50-meter pool. You had to do 9 laps, and believe me, I was hanging on to the wall for dear life. I swam 1 lap, hung on, and then did those 9, and I was the last one out of the pool. But once I got on the bike, followed the road through the neighborhood, got on the run, I was like, wow, I actually like this. Maybe I can, do something with this. And I asked my wife, how did I do it with swim? She was like, you need work. So, again, I fell in love with this sport, and it allowed me a lot of opportunities to, see things in a different light and, swim in the Schuylkill River, meet some wonderful people that I see here in the room. When I was struggling in the swim, I reached out to John Kinney. He got me prepared for my first Ironman. I remember swimming, going up in distances in the Schuylkill River, and I sat there, and my wave was 9 out of 12, I believe. So I was sitting there for almost 40 minutes beside the Schuylkill River, waiting to get in the water. When I finally did, it was probably about, I would say, from the stage to that back wall. That's as far as I got. And then I raised my hand, got on the boat of shame. I was like, I got in my head, I was like, I can't do this. And then I figured out, how am I going to make this work? And I raised my hand, got a coach, and then, then I met John Kinney. He was offering, swim training. It was at Upper Marion Middle School, so I would show up 2 nights a week. He would talk to me, hey, we're going to do this. I was honest. I was like, I shook my head and said, okay. I didn't know what he was talking about. Swim was foreign to me, but I got in there, and day 1, I was the last person in that lane, leading with the group. And then when I left the training, I was actually leading the group still in that lane, but leading those group of swimmers. So, I tell my athletes, progress, not perfection. That's when I look at that story is I made progress. I was challenging myself. So, Brian, if you could just go back real quick to that first slide. As I mentioned, I'm a level 2 USA Triathlon coach, Ironman certified coach, and I've been sitting on the board of the USA Triathlon Foundation for 3 years now as a trustee. And, since my journey in triathlon in 2011, I kind of looked around and said, how can I make an impact in this community? How can I, continue to strengthen, the good work that's being done? And having a background in nonprofits since 99, serving on, various boards, mentors, and things of that sort, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and, get on the USA Triathlon Foundation board. And since I've been there, we've done some great things. When I joined, one of the board members, one of my good mentors and friends, he put up a gift. His goal was to, him and a business partner, they wanted to give money to increase the sport to underrepresented youth in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area. was just like, okay, now how do we bring people to the table to do this? And with my background, I was able to kind of work with him and say, hey, we have this group, do you know about this triathlon club? Do you know about these individuals? And now we've been bringing people together to help find and create awareness. I think about, my peer Tim Tice here, where he led a group of triathletes their first time out in Lake Nockamixon. And it was, I was reading the text because I was in another state at the time, and they showed up, and these kids did their triathlon for the first time. They had a person that did a relay, there was a relay. They had a swimmer that swam for them, and then the kids did the bike and the run themselves, correct? So this is open water. Sharon talked about the fear of open water. Hey, you don't have to do the whole thing yourself. You can do a relay. And I think sometimes people enjoy the relay because, you can really push it. And I remember reading the text, and Tim, I think they said, once they were like, wow, did you see that person? The way they swam, they were like fish flying over the water. And it was like, when they were riding home, all the kids were crying on the bus because they were worn out. They said, hey, I can't wait to tell this person and that person to have it again, the following year. So we're actually working on year number 2 now to get these high school kids involved. And that was a group through Students Run Philly style, where they have, we had this money that was donated, and then it was like, where can we meet the community where they are? So these kids were already running with the mentor through the school system. So I would love to kind of see that in the Norristown area, right? Same concept that they have in the Philly area. How can we take that and move that along? So that's what I've been doing, really kind of, rolling up my sleeves as a member, as a trustee on the board. And you'll see some pictures here. So Reggie III, I think most of you have maybe met him. That left-hand picture was me completing my first Ironman in Lake Placid, New York. Reggie showed up. He was 3 at the time, and that was his first race. That was his first time running. And he ran past the cone, and I'm like, Reggie, come back. He turned around and ran back. And then next thing you know, it was like, he got his medal, he was done, gave his cup. He was like, okay, I'm going to go back out and run again. It was only a quarter mile. But he was excited, so leading by example. It was amazing to see that he was so proud. And then that next picture is him recently last year completed his first triathlon out in Norristown. So, again, progress, not perfection. Me as a coach, I was thinking, okay, he has to have everything lined up. It was in a pool. He's ridden a bike. He swam at camp. He can run. And he was like, Dad, I don't want to, go out there just to cheer on with you as a board member. I want to go and do it. Can I do it? I was like, okay, let's do it. Figure it out. And we had a great time. So we finished. So we're going to be doing it again next month. And I'm just going to touch on one more, a couple more pictures here real quick, because I was very excited about this one here. Emmy Perry was a local to the area, to the Philadelphia area. She actually left. She was a former athlete of mine, phenomenal runner. She was in a wheelchair. She lived in Broad Street, and then she actually, came to me, wanted to get into triathlon. That was her second triathlon, which she won in her division, and that's pro triathlete Jason West. So where I'm going with this is, I knew she had the talent, right? But I didn't have that next access and stuff to give her to where she needed to. So, I started hooking her up with local resources to then actually got her to Colorado Springs to where she was training with, Olympic coaches. And the reason why I bring the story up is I'm excited that, she just actually qualified 2 weeks ago, qualified for the Paralympics that's going to be happening. So, just to see, that, we never know where our athletes are, where our youth are going to take us. So, just expose them to these various things. This is wonderful. And then here, this picture here is a gentleman here with the medal run, and he runs cross country in Westchester. And, his goal was he, did a relay, did a 50-mile bike. He was like, hey, I want to swim. I want to do a half Ironman. Well, another coach in DC called me up, said, hey, can you help this gentleman out? Can you just, do some, swim analysis with him? So I had my GoPro, went to Westchester University, and I gave him some tips, and we went on our way. And a month later, he called me back up. Hey, I want to hire believe it was about 6.5 hours that he did, the racing. And it was just very exciting to see, this individual that wasn't comfortable swimming getting past that and accomplishing his goal. And that's Tone right there, actually, who drove up from Delaware with me to the pacer for a 50-mile run. So you can go ahead and forward. No problem. But I say all this to say is, the community is small, very supportive. Sika Henry, first black female professional triathlete. I remember meeting her at one of the races before she got her pro card. So just kind of seeing her journey, and when I look around and I see it's just Max and Sika that are part of the community, my goal is to, I know there's more of us out there. How do we go about connecting and communicating all the work that's happening? And this race right here, all these were black athletes. One is actually a ref and a coach, and it was just great to see what 6 black males at this race, which is sometimes you don't see a lot of depending on what races you're going to. So again, when I show up, it would be great to see more people like myself to where we can have conversations and just kind of be ourselves and understand what are those barriers. Some of those individuals can swim with no problem, but it's just maybe the biking or the running or just how do we piece it all together. So we're there, like Jordan said, and Max said, hey, we can swim. So how do we piece this all together and create this community so that way there's a longevity, but starting at the elementary level, the high school level, that's where we can continue to get that exposure, because I think now we're seeing there's more awareness at the high school level around triathlon, but how can we continue that? And thankful for Brian with the work that he's doing in the area with the high school detention, and then also John and Shannon and everyone else that's here. So Brian, great job with the work that you're doing. I appreciate you for the opportunity to allow us to kind of share each of our journeys, because the community is big, but it is not that big to where we never know who knows who and how we can help one another accomplish those goals. I have my mic here, so if anyone had any questions, kind of happy to share. Any questions around equipment. But again, you don't need a brand new bike. You don't need the fastest bike. You don't need all the high tech gear that everybody has. Your body is the machine. That's what I tell my athletes. If you take care of your body, then you can jump on any bike. You can get in a pool and be able to hold your breath and swim and get from point A to point B and do the run. So again, I see some people that want all the highest equipment. I need the carbon shoes. You can have all that, but it's not going to make you as an individual fast if you're not eating, if you're not sleeping, if you're not taking care of your body. So again, your body is the machine. You take care of that first, and then that's going to help you project and live a healthier lifestyle.
All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of what this is going to look like, the whole goal. Now, first of all, today is going to be was really the kind of what's the response, right? There's always the way I look at things is like, okay, you just bringing this all together. First of all, I think this is really cool, and other ways in which we're doing outreach as well as getting the word out. But let's get into some more details so you kind of understand what the proposed model is as we move forward. First of all, there's going to be basically your orientation meeting, which is here today. The whole goal was who's going to show up. I mean, we went through, did the Times Herald, digital format, newspaper, Ministry of churches sent out to their pastors. Again, some of this too is also because we're late in the season, there's other competing demands. Posted things in the restaurants and spread the word, social media, connecting. Again, it's all about getting the word out. And so I'm just looking at this simply as, okay, what's the point? What are we supposed to do at this point moving forward? together to what is the next step in terms of partnership, what does that look like? And then the next step is going to be tryouts. And so, first of all, the whole goal is to at least have a team of 10 athletes. These are free annual memberships. These 10 athletes coming from the age groups of 8 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18. And so also in this particular category, what I would love to see happen with those single sport athletes, immediately get them into racing this while the race season is still occurring. Find a swimmer, bike cyclist, a runner, form that triathlon team so that they can get immediately involved, get a feel for what the sport's at. They're already good at what they do. We just sign them up, get them out there. And then bring all those that are interested to watch and cheer them on and be in the environment. At the same time, as a triathlon team forms, let's go to Atlantic City. This is, gosh, a rare opportunity where an entire nation is going to be coming. And so we can do that and activate it by just starting a relay. And then relay, what does that involve? Basically, it's just getting 3 different people doing the swim, bike, and the run. The only thing they have to transition is that timing sheet. It's fun, gets you involved, gets the kids, camaraderie, recruiting one another. And that's what it's all about. Let's just get them connected. This is just showing the existing race season that are local races. And it's an opportunity for the community, the parents, to come in and even volunteer, being at an aid station in water. And they just like, oh my gosh, this is great, this is fun. And I'm cheering on the relay team. That's the concept, okay? And then the next step is going to be a tryout, skills development and tryout, just to kind of just general skills, test, see where they're at with their swimming, biking, running ability. So I mean, we'll get an idea of what is the snapshot of what we're working with. In that tryout process, it's just basically some testing, it's going to be just swimming 2 lengths in a pool. And this, also John and Shannon get an opportunity, and Coach Matt, look in the pool, it's behind us. That's the pool that we would be using. This is it here. So again, just get an idea of what their abilities are. If they can't swim, at least we're going to know that they're going to need some swim lessons. When it comes to cycling, get them on any bike that they have. I'm even considering, again, a snapshot of who we have, partnering with like a spin bike so they can just make the adjustments. General idea of pedal stroke and things. So this is identifying just general skills. If they even have a bike, any kind of bike will do. And then run tests. Basically, it's going to be just really being in here in the gym, just checking general form. And that's about it. It's not going to be like looking at their endurance or anything. So from here, after that, we'll then assess, kind of classify into different age groups and categories, skill levels, see what we need to do and put the word out in terms of donated bikes, donated equipment, get an idea, what are the needs, and then begin to start making those connections while we then form a selection of that forming of a team. So again, we're going to have a team of the whole goal here is a team of coaches coming together. So we're going to look at what's the next step and begin to start resourcing one another. What does the first session look like? Basically, the concept is 1 skill-based training per week. Based on pool availability, we're kind of midstream. And once the school starts, basically probably up until September. And basically the concept, so to kind of give you an idea of the bigger picture. So here's our event right now. And then, as you can see, the pool, probably up until September. At that point, it gets cold, school starts, the transition into the school system, and then we'll then utilize the gym access and then skill development. So kind of giving an idea of how to approach that. And that's why also the school district, and we're talking with Tara Lee DeLito, she's the aquatics director of the school district, swim coach as well, seeing how we might partner together to continue swimming throughout. And then as a way of those who ever sign up, this can be even ongoing as they sign up, stay connected just by a free app, those coaching platforms where you can keep communication to the coaches and for the athletes themselves. Okay? And then generally, what does the typical session look like? Basically 30 minutes in each discipline, but what we're going to probably do after some consultation with Shannon was saying 3 things are too much. So maybe at least a swim while we have the pool here, and maybe swim bike one week, swim run the next week. We always use a swimming pool while we have access to it. Again, that's where the wisdom of having expert coaches to give some, what's the realism of the situation. Here would be the typical training format: 30-minute sessions. In this case, it'd be one probably. And it's always a warm up, drill set, and then a cool down. The whole goal of this is just learn the skill, and then you do it on your week when you're at home. Take care of that. It's just going to be skill-based training once a week. And then this is just kind of get an idea. These are all already the volunteers that have chosen. This is not what their schedule is. This just gives you an idea of names and actual faces, okay? And so we have like a lifeguard, swim coach, bike, run, strength training, and a lead coach is kind of heading up just to make sure that everybody showed up, all the coaches. What's the learning outcome for that particular week? And remember, it's going to be like a 2-hour block, right, for that given week. Do their pool, 30-minute session, come in here, they learn their skills. And so, people, the coaches here, they can cross-function as needed, but it just gives you a visual of individuals that are volunteering of their time. No one's going to pay for this, it's just volunteer. And unless we have a need for, we need to compensate for certain, if that's the case. But the key is that you have people that just want to invest and be there available. And then some of our locals, Rich Rogers, Tony Dart, we're going to have to put asterisks because as him being such a pillar of this community, his connections about the girls that are track and field and the sports and all that, again, he's just agreed to be part of this. Say, hey, I'll endorse this however he can. If he can, we'd love it if he could be here and give some skills. But the key thing is, we're getting the locals here at Norristown, and as you can just hear. And then also, we have our resident advisors. Shannon, John Kenny, Reggie, and also Reggie and I, we both share a mentor coach, Justin Troll, he's moving to Colorado Springs, level 3 coach, and he's there also to avail himself to give any consultation that we need for all the coaches. Again, we got a lot of buy-in here in support of this effort. And then in general, the methodology of the coach development, Justin, as well as John, Shannon, Reggie, just being available as resident advisors, right, to support this. And the whole goal is to empower from sort of the grassroots level so that Norristown single sport expert coaches, right, they already know what they're doing. Okay? Track and field, background there. So again, engaging, connecting, and then those that are the triathlon coaches as well as athletes that are there to just help and support. Obviously, most likely they're going to have to give some assistance on the swim and bike. But the goal is that there's both this kind of coming alongside and shadowing one another so that ultimately we begin to start producing swimmers, cyclists that emerge out of this. And then begin the coaches here in Norristown begin to become empowered to really create their own club. So that's the concept of this. And at this point, any questions and answers? Just wanted to give you a big picture as to what this is all about, and leave it at that. And so, any questions? Even for those of you that this is like your first time coming together, and you're wondering, well, what's the concept out of all of this? All right. Okay, this was the next step. If we were to move forward, if we had sign-ups, or just give you an idea too.
All right, I just want to do this in a post here as Tony Darden, and I'll post a little bit of his background, but it's been an honor just to kind of hang out together. So Tony, what's your response after we just met?
Well, listen, I just listened to everything that Ryan just told me about this USA Triathlon. It's a great opportunity for the kids in Norristown. I think it'll open the horizon for them to see that life is about having diversity, not only in your personal life, but also in your sporting life. So come on board. I'm all on board with it. I want to see it be successful in Norristown and obviously for USA track triathlon.
And then also, when it comes to your fellow coaches, your fellow track and field, what would you like to speak to
come with open mind and see the opportunity that you could present to other people that I may not know, to bring them on board to be a part of this USA Triathlon in Norristown and then serving Norristown community and surrounding areas. So come on board, man. Come on out. You'll like it.
All right, so this coming Saturday, July 13th, it's going to be from 12 to 1:30 at the George Washington Carver Community Center at 249 Jacoby Street in Norristown. Please, if you can make that, great. If not, you'll hear more information about what's going to happen further. So, just thanks a lot, Tony. We're looking forward to working together.
I'm looking forward. All right, it's going to be exciting.
All right, so some of our grassroots. Ernie, can you just say, give just a couple of your observations on anything here?
I think it's a great idea. We're here to attract community to start off. And some of the other things, like Hakeem said, are very important to a lot of people. There are a lot of bikers here, older bikers that people don't know. But I think they can really support this. And then swimmers, we got a ways to go with swimming, but I think when you expose kids to things, they're gonna do it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's for the Carver, it's for me. Because the Carver ran deep in my life. I was a 10-year-old the day this place opened up. And I remember I was outside this door with a brother of the gentleman who died. He wasn't born when he died, but he's still living. He has a sister here that's 83 that's still living. I tried to get her here today, but I lost my phone, so I couldn't get her here. But she'll be here to do anything the Carver needs or whatever. But if it's all about the Carver and the community, you got that.
Okay. So Dr. Miller, just come to your observation, okay? What any thoughts that you would have about just what you saw in the movie?
Thank you. Well, I've taken quite a few notes. I've already put in my schedule to meet with the athletic director. I think this is an awesome opportunity for young people just to learn how the skills and wellness. My husband is actually a former track athlete, and he still talks about it. He keeps track of races, and it is just such an important part of who he is. So I am very interested to speak to you one-on-one and get more information to take that to fruition.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but this is this window of opportunity. We have us all together, regardless. Reggie the third, you matter. That's what, but the key thing, I believe that this was meant to be the way it is so that at least those of you that are here are key people, and it's also bringing us together. We're also videoing this so we can hold, to see this type of thing. And I'm also even considering how we might do this online so that we can create a kind of more of a condensed version of this, and then get Instagram and the TikTok and all the other ways in which we can get the word out, right? So it's all about how do you innovate and continue to figure out different ways of reaching the community. I don't look at this as oh no, there's no interest. No, it just maybe you need to be the ones that are the key people that are going to spread the word that all of a sudden a ripple effect happens. So, thank you very much. And also we got like 50 sandwiches again. It's like I was just like shooting out to the dark. My friend Sam Class, we go back in the days. He's always a generous guy. He's going to always partner with us in all the endeavors and what we do. So take a bunch of sandwiches. You got some things over the weekend, take them. Hot sandwiches and water, so we don't want anything to go to waste. But we're going to, yep, good.
We also have some t-shirts, magnets, free books for children as well.
Yes, so if you could please pick up some things for the school district as well. Okay? All right, well, thank you very much.